Alright, we are back. Magic here. I'm going to be doing more analysis tonight. This is part 2. We got 2 more games to go. Let me just check the levels. Actually, the levels are bad. Alright, now the levels should be good. I apologize if I sounded really loud, but yeah, it happens. Alright, so we got 2 more replays to go. We just watched the first 3 here. Let's see, what did we watch? Let me just pull up the folder. Game 1 was Pytro versus Fantasy, Protoss against Terran, Diamond level. Went alright. It's actually on Xel'Naga Fortress. That's the map. I couldn't think of it before, but that is the map. The second game was with Snuggles against Pubes Poop Pie, which a little bit of troll action in the beginning, but it turned out okay. And yeah, and then we just went over Carbon Trace, who plays a Zerg, against Dargon, who plays Terran on Metalopolis. The second game was on Narazim Crypt and all that good stuff. So Carbon Trace just took the win against Terran, but yeah, he has definitely improved since the last time I saw him. So I gave him some more suggestions for the some more practice suggestions for him. And at this point for him, I'd say definitely just practice unit control. Practice taking out this base, like I said. Try to get upgrades a little bit sooner. And generally speaking, it went pretty good. So now we're going to be doing Rev Lyra, and we're actually going to be the next 2 games are actually both from him. And I did watch the first one. I did not watch the second one. I just watched the first one on my break between casting and analysis. So let's jump right into there with game number 4. This is on Shakur's Plateau, and I already know I got a couple of suggestions for him this time. So it is Terran against Protoss, and he came to me saying, okay, I don't really know what to do against Protoss anymore. How do I beat him towards the later stages of the game? So we're going to focus more on that. So with that in mind, we're going to speed through this beginning. Now he does have a very nice beginning here. But yeah, since they're just making SCVs and probes, that is all that's going on. So his opponent is actually ODM Uni, or Une, and he's our Protoss player. And it is close air positions. You can't spawn close ground positions. So close air positions, he has a supply depot as well. He's going to be building a barracks right now. There it goes. And now he's just going to continue on to make some SCVs. Very nice. Protoss, meanwhile, is adding on a gateway, doing all the normal stuff. There's the assimilator, and then there's going to be another pylon, and then cybernetics, and all that good stuff. So, okay, second pylon down there at the bottom, or at the top by the ramp. Alright, so Lyra here is going to be opening with the 2 racks, I believe. Actually, 3 racks, I should say. Here comes 2 SCVs, going to be doing it in the corner. Very nice. I like this a lot. Do it in the corner so your opponent does not know about it. Then you can lay down some nice pressure and throw up a command center. So I believe the next 400 will be for a command center as he sends out his Marines out here after he kills off that probe. Very nice. Clear out the way so he can expand and so he doesn't know about it. Alright, so Protoss is actually going to be expanding right now as well. So this is just a very nice way to open. You start with getting low-tech units like a Marine. Get up an expansion, you can lay down some pressure with those Marines as well. So if your opponent expands like this, you can catch him off guard, do some nice damage to him. So Protoss does take a little bit longer to start up here, so this Nexus should not even really be here. This is actually a blunder. Now some players can get away with it if Terran's, for example, going 1-1-1, but you never want to assume that. Never assume that he's going 1-1-1. You didn't see a gas. If you don't see a gas, don't expect a 1-1-1 because it's not going to happen. Alright, so now the Marines are in the bunker, going to be wailing away at that Nexus. And, well, as you can see, our Protoss buddy here has pretty much nothing. He has 3 gates that are just finishing up here. He doesn't have the Warp Gate tech yet. He pretty much has no units out. I mean, actually, he has no units out, so this will be forced to cancel. With that in mind, he definitely should have a unit or 2 out by now. So here's that first Stalker. You can't really do much with that. And now the Nexus, yeah, is canceled. Now he's added on another gateway and a Robo. So this already is kind of like, okay, I geared up to do an expansion, now I'm adding all these buildings. Because of that, I'd say he doesn't need the second or this fourth gateway to go to Robo. not going to be able to use it. And then now the pilot's going to be going down, and now he's not going to use the Robo, so he's going to have to cancel that as well. It's kind of a big blunder on Protoss' part, and Lyra already doing a very nice opening here. Now, for the record, this is a high Masters level game, so I'd expect Protoss to behave a little bit better, but, well, sometimes just make the wrong choices and you're paying for it. So, Lyra here just going to be doing as much damage as possible to this gateway, taking that out. And yeah, that was 150 minerals, plus the minerals for that, the pylon, and then the Nexus. So, Lyra here is just going to be escaping after guaranteeing his escape by going into that bunker. Okay, even keep the bunker down a little bit longer. Alright, not a big deal. Throwing up a bunker at his choke. You know, he saw that there was a bunch of gateways, wants to retreat. Very nice. I like this opening a lot. Like, okay, now this bunker is not going to be able to hold too much longer. Let's get the heck out of here. He's going to be leaving that, yeah, and salvaging it and running back home. So actually, he did some very nice damage and lost very little. So as you can see, Terran's quite ahead at this point. Now these Stalkers coming out. Knows that bunker is gone, and Terran's on the retreat. Now, Marines are slightly slower than Stalkers. Stalkers actually are pretty fast for how big they are. And, well, one Marine going to the watchtower, 3 on the retreat. It looks like he's about to lose a couple just because those Stalkers are able to catch up. So I wish he would cancel that, or salvage that bunker a little bit sooner, get the Marines out of there, and just guarantee that they're going to be able to get out successfully. So now the Stalkers coming up to this bunker saying, okay, he's got a bunch of Marines and stuff up there, I can't really attack in there. And so Lyra here going to be sitting very nicely with that expansion. Now Protoss' expansion, he started off putting it down a little bit too early, and with what happened, he put it down, you know, the second time at a good time. I do want to say that, but with what he wanted to do, he could have gotten up this Nexus a little bit sooner. I mean, he delayed the Nexus the first time initially, you know, and then just gotten up a little bit later and been a little bit safer. So, I don't know. I just wish he would have gotten up some more units early on, then he would be able to deal with that pressure more and all that good stuff. Looks like a Marine's going to get in here, scout around, definitely a blunder on Protoss' part. You know, he has all of his Stalkers at the watchtower, just going to be watching that. And now this Marine has free reign to get a lot of good scouting information. Alright, so back at Lyra's base, let's see, our Terran buddy here has 3 bunkers, that's fine, you know, if you have 3 bunkers, don't feel like it's a lot. I mean, you potentially had to deal with the 4 gate, so I mean, that's fine. Don't think twice about it, but now that there's the Nexus, I wouldn't worry about it so much. Definitely don't throw it on the 4th now that you know. And okay, so now you are transitioning into some factory reactor. So the reactor is actually for the starport, and you're going to be doing some drops, so that's always going to be nice. And now there's an observer, you know about it, you're chasing after it a little bit. No, apparently you're just going to sit there. Not a big deal. Try to find those observers. At this level of play, you should definitely be looking for observers. And then you have a bunch of barracks, so I mean, you're going to be getting Marines and Marauders. Now, since you are going Marine and Marauder, that's a nice low-tech, fast-producing, fast-moving army. So you want to do a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure and get up a lot of expansion. So I'm glad he got up this 3rd orbital already. He's cranking out just some additional SCVs, and then he can move it down here when he wants to, which is very nice. He's putting up the factory that he doesn't exactly need up at the top here to scout for any possible drops, so that's very nice as well. You know, he saw the Robo, so it's like, okay, he's probably maybe going to get a Warp Prism, so let's just prepare for it. And he has a couple of extra supplies up there as well, just to check things out. And they are on this side. I do want to point that out. It's not over here. Now, of course, a drop could happen in the back here. But again, this is actually a lot closer to your ramp than back here. So I do prefer to have the supplies on this side. Alright, so now I do want to say he should be expanding right now. Now is a very good time, maybe at like 11 minutes, to throw down your 3rd. It seems kind of early. You know, you're like, okay, maybe Protoss has a bunch of stuff. He probably just got a Colossus, where she does, and probably even more so. But with that in mind, you know, that's a slow unit. That's a high-tech, slow unit. So with that in mind, you want to be taking a lot of bases. And I would also say that the base here was not a good idea. I mean, the fact that he's going to be placing it there when he does expand is not a good idea, because that's closer to your opponent. You want to expand further away from your opponent if he has that high-tech unit. You know, a lot of players say, oh, Terran should always expand towards their opponent and Zerg should always expand further away. But in my opinion, it really depends on the units, depends on how you're playing. So, I mean, with that in mind, since your opponent's going Colossus, the expansion here is not very good. So now you're doing a drop, which is very nice. You want to be doing a drop at these points for sure. And well, he's got a couple of Colossus back here, so you gotta be really careful. And now you're even following it up with a couple of Vikings. Maybe get the Vikings first, maybe the Medivacs first. I'm not sure which is actually better, but if just having some Vikings out, you can come over here and kill off any potential Colossus threats like this. Usually it's a little bit better for Zerg just because, well, you can kill off Overlords then on the way there, and then you can just make sure he doesn't have any scouting there, and that's always going to be very nice. But in this predicament, it could help out, so maybe just have him on standby and all that good stuff. So now you're expanding very good. Now it looks like the Stalker is going to be denying it a little bit. Don't worry about the Stalkers so much. You know, if they threaten this, just get your guys over there to defend it. You have a bunch of guys that could easily take out these Stalkers, so don't worry about it. His main forces up here, and kind of blunder here. Try not to do that, you know. You're at the level of play where, like, you shouldn't be doing that. Try not to do that if at all possible. But it looks like you're making up for it just by having a good play overall. Cranking out plenty of SCVs. 61 SCVs to 59 probes. Pretty good. Pretty good. Considering you have mules and all that, that's pretty awesome. Let's see, are you keeping up on your mules? You are, so very nice. And now, at this point, you could actually be taking a fourth if you secured your third over here. Now, of course, if you secured over here, he could do a drop over here and all that. But at the same time, he could still do a drop here. So, I mean, either way, you're going to deal with drops. This is going to take a little longer to get to. So don't worry about it like that. Now, you did drop some guys down there. That's good. Try to make sure that expansion's not up. Very nice timing on that drop, just checking this expansion. Protoss could have it up at that time, so that was just really nice to have. And now Protoss is actually doing a very, very good job of just keeping units at every position, you know. He's just watching out for that drop wherever it may happen. But I'd say since you are going Marine Marauder, Medivac, you gotta lay down a lot of pressure. You don't want him to have this base here. This is crucial for him right now. If you want to stay in the game while you're throwing up your own expansions. So with that in mind, I'd say maybe move your Vikings up here, drop them here on these probes, kill off as many as you can. His army will move up here, and then you can drop here, or you can drop at the natural. Just try to manipulate his army. Like, that's, I think, the focus today, like manipulation of the army, of your opponent's army. You know, so that's your guaranteed damage, whereas, you know, if you just drop randomly like this, it's not going to guarantee anything. Just try to know where his army is so that he can't defend everything. Now, of course, good players will have their army spread out. Gotta watch out for that. Just throw down some scans, do whatever you gotta do. Looks like you're throwing up a couple of command centers at the same time. That's fine. And now you need to add on a bunch of barracks. And actually, could have had them a little bit sooner. There's actually not enough here. You got, let's see, 7 and 2 starports. That's actually not enough. All 3 bases for Terran. You need a ton of freaking barracks. I do want to point that out because your money's kind of high. And now since you're throwing up 2 more command centers, you could actually add on a lot of barracks. So I spend all this money on barracks. All of it. Every single last penny. And then start cranking out as many Marines and Marauders as you can. And Vikings, of course. And Medivacs. But yeah, you let him have this base, which is kind of a huge blunder. At this level of play, if you want to get better, I'd say definitely worry about having him not have this. Now, if Protoss was going with a lot of gateway units, not so much Colossus, don't worry about this so much. You know, that's okay then. If he has that, that's okay. But yeah. Alright, so now you have your drop coming in here. You're going to take out that cannon to open some views. Gonna wait that one guy before retreating, and yeah, now they're very nice. Okay, now you do have a lot of energy on your Medivac, so you gotta worry about that High Templar, that feedback. But yeah, you could have maybe come in here and killed off a couple more probes. I'd say actually, I would say try to do bigger drops. Like, okay, if you have one drop. You know, a lot of players will actually be prepared for one drop, and actually with gateways, they can just warp in guys and be defended against drops. So, with that in mind, I'd say use 2 Medivacs full of units, some Marines and Marauders, and then, you know, you dropped up here, which is good, and then you can move them down here, kill off some probes, Try to keep your medevac away from the High Templar, and you can actually kill off these Zealots then, unless he warps in like a whole lot. Then you can get out of there. And then in response, what he'll do is move his army up here, and you can do a nice drop in the main here. So try to manipulate his army that way. You know, his big force is in the center. It looks like it's pushing out right now. Now, since it's pushing out, you can say, okay, this area is definitely clear. I can drop there and all that. So just find spots like that to drop. Find good locations. Since we are going to be doing 2 of your replays, I'm going to speed it up a little bit. But yeah, this Protoss force is pretty scary. Just try not to engage it directly. You got to remember, this force here is pretty slow. Like Protoss by default is pretty slow, just like Zerg by default is pretty fast. So you know, for Protoss, it's pretty much like they're automatically the high-tech army. Then Zerg is automatically the low-tech army. And then for Terran, you kind of have a choice of Marines, Marauders, and Medevacs, or for tanks. Or then of course you can go 1-1-1, and that's kind of separate entirely. That's kind of like a high-tech army. And actually, yeah, I would say that is a high-tech army, so you gotta be careful with that. So I mean, that's why it's strong. Well, you can one base with 1-1-1, right, against a Protoss player, and it'll be really strong. Well, that's a high-tech army. Protoss needs 2 bases to deal with it. Whereas, you know, and then if you got a big expansion plus the 1-1-1, you'd be in really great shape and all that. So, anyways, it looks like you're just moving back and forth with your army. Yeah, try to get more medevacs, do some more drops. And actually, at this point, since you're nearing the 200 food, if you want, you can switch into a higher tech army. Switch into getting more starports, going for battlecruiser even. You know, it doesn't sound like, oh, battlecruisers is actually bad units. But actually it isn't. If you have a bunch of battlecruisers, it can be good. I do want to say that. It can be good. Like a whole lot of battlecruisers, like throw up like 4 stargates or starports and start cranking them out. You know, you went up to Ghost, that's good, you know. But again, that is infantry. It is a little bit more high-tech. But if you want to switch to factory, switch to starport, you can. You don't have to. I just would say, if you're going this kind of play would be better with mech. So you can start off with your Marine and Marauder and then transition into mech, and that might be very helpful overall. And then get your Banshees with that and harass with that and all that good fun stuff. Alright, so now he's taking a 4th base. So this is what, yeah, a 4th base. This is what you really don't want. To be on the same number of bases while you're doing the low-tech army. No matter what, I don't care what race you are. If it's a high-tech army versus a low-tech army, and you both have 200 food, the high-tech army's always going to win, 100% of the time. Very clear, decisive win. So with that in mind, Protoss players generally need to turtle a little bit more. You know, take less bases, whereas Terran, with infantry, you can take a lot of bases. You actually can take a lot of freaking bases. Now, if you went for Blink Stalkers, then yeah, he can take a lot of bases, and you got to be a little bit careful. If you're going Marine Marauder against Blink Stalker, then yeah, you can be on the same number of bases. Or if he's going Gateway Army, you know, be on the same number of bases. But in this kind of situation, you want to have more. You want to do some drops. You can force cancel on that. Actually, he doesn't even cancel that. Blunder on his part, but yeah, now he just forced his army over there, so now it's a good time to push in the middle, get your giant ball moving, and now his Zealots have returned, so actually now it's not a good time to attack. You missed your window. Yeah, try to just have timings with that, like doing that drop, doing a frontal push. And now you are going to pretty much get wrecked here. Yeah, high-tech army is always going to be more efficient than a low-tech army in an engagement. So, yeah, try not to engage it if possible. You know, you have to if you're defending, which is fine. But you pretty much have to constantly keep making and sending units in. And it looks like your SP count has come to a halt. Still only at 55. I'd definitely say work on that. A bit of a blunder there, walking up there. Try to get out of there. Try to escape. Try to find a path to escape. Try not to get boxed in there. Once Protoss is on this side, and you're on this side, well, that's just not good. Don't have that happen. Try to be on this side and him on this side. No matter what, even if you can take him, try not to, because you're just going to lose guys. try to attack from other directions. So I mean, since he is going for, or since you are going for a low-tech army, try to attack from multiple directions. I think I covered that a little bit, but just to say, you know, you can drop here lots, drop here lots, and then run down here and attack here, and all that fun stuff. So Protoss just kind of sitting in the center. He's, you know, a lot of Protoss players in this matchup will just sit in the center and be like, okay, I'm well defended. You know, just like in Terran against Zerg, Terran players will sit in the center and be like, okay, I'm fine. It's up to the player with the lower tech. You know, in Terran against Zerg, it's Zerg because Terran has the tanks. It's up to the lower tech to really attack from other directions and keep minimizing the opponent's infrastructure and not engage the frontal army here. Speeding up, another drop in the back here. Gonna be taking out this Nexus maybe. Yeah, but yeah, you're kind of sitting back right now. You have plenty of dudes. He has plenty of dudes, so you're like, okay, I don't really want to attack in there. Do some drops right now. Right now. He has too many bases. And he's going to be able to crank out big army after big army of big units. Whereas you can crank out, you know, lesser units a lot faster. But, I don't know, you got to be really careful. Like, if you notice, like, you were both at 200 food before you engaged before, right? And you had a ton of money, and he didn't have much money at all. Whereas now, he's both pretty even on the money. He's actually ahead on the food. And this is not going to be able to crush this. Not in a million years. So, you really got to... I mean, I'm glad you're dropping. I'll just say maybe make bigger drops. Try to drop different locations. You know, a Marauder drop in the main is always really nice. You can take out the robotics facility and a bunch of gates, maybe some pylons. You know, no matter what, Marauders are good against buildings, since every single building is armored, if you notice. And I'd say maybe drops over here would be Marines, because you got the probes and all that. So, I don't know. Things to consider. You have a lot of infrastructure, you have a lot of barracks, which is good. You're not using them right now. Pretty much that's 200 food, but I would say try to use it. You're nuking, which is a good technique for harassments. You're just forcing it to not mine at that time. That's pretty much what it is. You're not actually going to be able to get any pro kills unless he makes a huge mistake. So don't worry about that. Looks like you... Ooh, that sucks. I'll just keep the ghost in there. That's something that you kind of should check, but you don't really have time to check the medevac energy. You know, because if you try to go in there and lift up, you're just going to die. So continue the EMP. I'd say after an EMP is when you want to go in there. Yes, you're keeping his energy low, but it regenerates really fast. You got to be really careful about that. So you're actually just wasting EMP. It's good to keep him low because then he can't attack you, but definitely try to attack after an EMP. There's no real reason to EMP unless there's an engagement. Engagement. That's now we're coming in here with a lot of Marauders, and actually all Marauders and Vikings and ghosts. I'd say maybe get a couple of Marines just for those Zealots and the Archons. The Archons, of course, do not take extra damage from Marauders. So be careful with that. So now, yeah, Protoss has just screwed you over because you don't have any, I mean, when you're doing this kind of play against a higher tech army, you're doing a low tech army against a high tech army, you need a better economy than he does. You have to. If you don't, you're going to lose. And if you somehow win, it's because he has bad macro. So don't expect him to have bad macro. Try to just, yeah, do it, you know. And now you actually have a ton of gas. Well, Marauders take up gas, Medevacs take up gas, and Vikings take up gas, but not enough gas. So you can actually cut back on the gas a little bit. Looks like you have at this expansion. Looks like you pulled guys out of this gas, which is good. And these guys still mine, that's fine. So you got 2 bases mining gas. You got 5 guys in this extractor, that's fine. Not a huge deal. But yeah, again, trying to do a nice frontal push when his frontal push is always going to be stronger. Because he's a high-tech dude. At this point in time, most players are like, okay, I don't really know what to do, let's just push back and forth in the center. Now is a very, very good time to multi-attack. Like, the more bases he has, the easier it's going to be. Now he has some cannons back here and some zealots back here. Um, you know, send your medevac over here if you see units. Okay, I gotta get out of there. Maybe you go around to this location back here. Same with the main. Check this location. If there's units, you can send them back here. If there's cannons, send them over here. Do the, you know, not on this map. You can't really do it so much with the naturals because they're in the middle. But definitely try to harass the outsides. This space, for example, I would consider outside. So definitely attack that. Now these marauders are definitely not going to be enough to kill this off. I know marauders are really nice against stalkers, but not very good against archons, not very good against zealots. Now you might be thinking, oh well, marauders can kite zealots all day long, and that's why people say marauders are just so good against gateway units. Truth is, in a direct battle, zealots are way better than marauders. You know, if you're gonna be constantly running away, and that's fine, but at the same time, you're gonna be stemming to run away, which loses you hit points. The Colossus are gonna be shooting at you because they're faster, and it's just not gonna be very awesome to have, you know, because you're actually wasting a lot of damage on the zealots. They take a lot of damage to kill from a marauder, since you do 2 times as much damage against a stalker than a marauder, or than a zealot. So the zealot is actually absorbing huge amounts of damage, which is why you want marines. Marines are going to help out a lot with that. So don't scamp out on your marine counts, even if you have a ton of gas. Marines are just that good. That's damage. You can't get anywhere close to it because he has a bunch of archons and there's a flank. Try to get as much as you can, but it's just no use. You are fucked. Here comes some more marauders. And I mean, since you do have like 1,000,000 gas and not that much minerals, yeah, marauders are actually okay. But yeah, actually now you're adding on banshees. Banshees are awesome. Okay, don't think twice about getting banshees at this point in time. I just got worried if he goes like Phoenix or something like that, and he's not going to. He has so many gateways. And gateways means ground forces, you know, ground forces. Banshees rock against ground forces. You ever have like a big mass of banshees against a ground force? Like, I don't care if you have hydralisks, stalkers, marines, they're all gonna perish. Those banshees are just gonna like tear it up. I mean, you have to have like way more marines and hydras and all that to deal with banshees. Banshees are a good thing. So maybe you want to transition into banshees in the mid game. You know, maybe at like 20 minutes you want to transition into them and just keep building marauders. I mean, I'll just say try to make game plans to use more of that gas that's piling up. And if you do end up going more banshee, definitely get the gases and all that. I think you realize that. That's just obvious. Alright, so here's engagements. Try to get the zealots. If you have mostly marauders, go for the zealots with the EMP. And the archons, of course, but you know, the zealots. Because the zealots absorb so much damage, just try to take some of it away. Most EMPs actually get launched like in the center, and that's good, but the zealots are going to be charging up ahead of that, so you want to do it like right in front of the zealots, and get more of the zealots, and then those will die, and then the stalkers will just perish like crazy because marauders are just so good against them. And the archons, of course, are mostly shields, so yeah, of course, archons. And yeah, you just don't have enough stuff, so you're going to die here. Yep, everything's dead. Times 8. Everything's still dead. I mean, at this point, I'm pretty sure you're just like, okay, what could I have done better? I have no idea. So you're just like thinking, now you're like, oh, I'm just gonna leave. Alright. Alright, so we do have one more game for you. We'll see if we run into the same problems this time. Or not. Oh, let's put that up. Yeah, there we go. I don't know who's watching. Someone's watching though. It's kind of weird just to have one person watching, to be honest. Oh well. Okay. One little sip left of honey water. That is awesome. There's some good shit right there. Alright. So this last one, once again, is going to be of Rev Lyra. And it is another turn against Protoss. We'll see if he makes the same mistakes or not. And, well, it's on Metalopolis, or it's Metalopolis. It's on an MLG version of Daybreak. So we have, of course, Lyra. Let's remove the overlay. Nice. I didn't forget. Who's our blue guy, spawned at the top. And then we have Fallen, who is playing as our red Protoss guy, known as the red guy, at the bottom. So it's blue against red on Daybreak here. So now this map, you know, of course, since it's not a, and I'm not quite as familiar with it, but I do know that third is somewhat far away, so it might be a little bit difficult to take. But if you're going Marine Marauder and Medevac, then it should be easy. And that's where you want to be taking a third. And then since you are going Marine Marauder, Medevac, this should be your fourth. And then this can be your fifth. And then you can just move along this way, you know, type of thing. Protoss, however, should be basing there, and then basing here, and then basing here and here. So we'll see what happens. Or actually, wow, I did that backwards. I thought Protoss was Terran and Terran was Protoss, but you know, just reverse what I said and you'll get the picture. Alright, so Barracks coming up. There it goes. Speeding it up, speeding it up. If you see my screen flashing, that's because I'm checking XSplit. Seeing how many, seeing how many people are watching and seeing if I have the overlay up. Alright, so the SV's coming out. Gonna be checking things out. And well, there's a Paroba coming up here. And he's gonna be denied scouting because he got that nice tight wall going on. Which is exactly why you get the wall against Protoss, otherwise you just don't get it. There's no real reason to. I do want to say that, you know, obviously this is optional, but I would say try playing without the wall. You know, get up the stuff around here so you can get it up faster. The reason why I want you to do this is not really because, well, you'll just have extra minerals and get up stuff quicker. I mean, that is a good reason to do that, but just to play around with, okay, my opponent knows what I'm doing, and it's still going to be good. I mean, to me, those are the best plays, when it's like, okay, my opponent knows what's going on, but I'm still winning. Huh. I'm just damn good. So, I mean, I think it would be just awesome to play around with that. That's what I try to do. I don't always do that. And I actually need to maybe get away from that a little bit, but that's a good way to test if your build is good. Just do stuff like that, and then if it works still, then it works still, you know? Then it's like, oh, I'm just awesome. Feel a little bit like Idra, having just like the same play, but a totally awesome play that just kicks ass every time. Alright, so it looks like this SV is kind of around, making sure there's no proxy business going on. Very nice, very nice. Alright, you got your expansion going, you got up your Marines. Oops, so let's put it on faster instead of faster times 2. And, well, you're not doing an attack right now, which is good because it's the Daybreak, and it takes a little bit longer to get over there. So I'm glad you made that decision. Let's see, I don't know, I keep checking XSplit. I keep feeling like my mic's not working or something. I don't know, I have this feeling. Fallen's expanding at a good time. You know, last time Lyra was able to abuse the fact that the expansion was super early. So this is actually good. You know, like the last game was like a gateway into expansion. Whereas this time it's like a gateway. Cyber's finished. The Chrono is almost finished, and now, or I mean the you know, Warp Gate Tech is almost finished. And now I'm putting down an Nexus. So it is delayed, and it's exactly when I told, or I said the last guy should have had it. So now SCV scouts it. He knows that it's going on because he sees the pylon. There's no reason to put a pylon down there if there's no expansion. So if you're Protoss, that's a good way to fool your opponents. You know, you put a pylon or something down here, he's going to say, oh, he's probably going to be doing a 3-gate expander, or 1-gate expander, or whatever, and then just like 4-gate him or something like that. You know, just totally screw him over. Because that's how you want to be playing StarCraft, to like screw your opponent over. Like, that's the correct way to play StarCraft. I mean, I wouldn't rub it into his face afterwards, just like, oh, he made a mistake. You know, everyone does it. But, well, unless you're the troll in the group, then I guess you're just going to rub it in his face either way. But, alright, barracks are up, factory's up, so let's see, starports should be coming online in a moment. Starports, okay, reactor starports. Alright. Alright, so the expansion was up at a good time. Looks like your play is just slightly different, you know, you didn't go for that 3 racks. Actually, I think you might have gone for the 3 racks, just didn't hide it early on and defend with it, so I mean, it's actually okay. And you put your bunkers here, which is awesome. You could have them here, but of course, then this is kind of vulnerable, so don't do that. So Lydra doing a good job, knowing what's up with that. And Protoss is going for a Twilight Council with a whole bunch of gateways, so he's probably going for a Blank Stalker. Keep that in mind. Then maybe transitioning into High Templar or Dark Templar. Proxy Pylon going down at the 3rd for Terran. And that's just a good spot for it, because A, you know when he's going to be expanding, and B, if you're doing an early attack, then you know, I mean, then you can just warp in guys down there, so it is a nice spot. Likewise, you can also have guys here attack this way, and then once his army comes out to attack you, and then, like, oh, you're losing armies, so you're moving back, maybe he'll counterattack. If he counterattacks and follows your units, you can warp in guys and attack the natural. Like, that's just so awesome. You know, like stuff like that. A nice cutesy play like that. Alright, so there's the Dark Shrine. Protoss is going for Dark Templar. And Terran is now moving out with his Marines. 1 Marauder and 1 Medevac. So it is an MMM group. And we'll see. Is Terran going to be expanding? I hope he puts down a command center soon. I really do. I really do. Command center, command center, command center. No command center, but there's a floating factory in the back here. I do like that. That's kind of just his strategy right there. I do like it a lot. Check things out. You know, a lot of players will float it over here, check things out, and well, you just see what's going on. Looks like Rev Nemesis is one of the dudes watching. Alright, so now you loaded some guys up into that medevac, and you got some guys in the back here taking care of the watchtower. Looks like you loaded up right by the watchtower. I'd say take care of the watchtower first. So now Protoss knows that you're dropping, and that's not cool. So you gotta be careful with that one. Don't make that mistake. But, well, looks like you're running back now after taking out the watchtower. I'd say just show up a little bit further. Like, you know, if Protoss has a big force here, you know, obviously don't engage it. But, you know, you could have picked off this Zealot. You could have forced him to move his Zealots back over here. Or, I mean, his Stalkers back over there. And then you could safely drop back here. So, there is that. Here it is. There's the medevac. Looks like your expansion's a little bit late. I wish that was up a little bit sooner while you're doing that pressure. And then you can move some units out after that to check that pylon. And now you gotta deal with the Dark Templar. Oh man, are you gonna get it? Are you gonna get it? Get it, 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 get it. Oh, there it goes, down with that last shot at the last moment. Actually, the missile turret must have seen it. And, well, we dealt with that very nicely. There's another Dark Templar you gotta worry about. Oh, you got a free kill there. Is he gonna get another one? Is he gonna get another one? He's about to get the next one. There he is. And there goes another Marine. That's 3. That's 4. That's 5. That is another hit. That's another hit. That's 6. 7. 8. Try to notice that a little bit sooner, man. Try to notice that a little bit sooner. I know you got a lot of stuff going on in your base. I understand. Like, I have trouble dealing with everything, but try to notice a little bit sooner, because that was like huge. 8 dudes for nothing. 8 dudes. Actually, I think it was actually just 7, but it looked like 8. And yeah, pylon. After you see Dark Templar like that, just check around for pylons. Like, just check around, because he's probably gonna be sending some more, and you gotta deal with that. Alright, so he's keeping your numbers pretty low. He has his 3rd already up. Your 3rd's late. And since he is going for a gateway army, that's okay. Like, you know, for him to be even, that's okay. You just gotta try to get this up in due time. There goes that pylon. Now he's pushing out. This is actually somewhat of a force here with those High Templar. He even managed to get stormed with that. That's pretty impressive. And now you're putting up bunkers, and you're kind of in crisis management mode, which is good. That's the mode you want to be in right now, because you're going to have a crisis if you do not do it properly. And we got a couple of barracks going to be finishing up here in just a moment. He has a command center. Should be an orbital. Yes, orbital's coming online. And yep, here comes the first Stalkers. And now you gotta be really careful with these High Templar. You gotta spread out your dudes. I'd say actually these bunkers are in a weird spot here. In relation to the command center. This command center is kind of like awkward right now. You want a nice spread against this because of those High Templar. Ooh, nice snipe right there with those ghosts killing off that High Templar. And well, Protoss is going to be forced to run away now. So, pretty nice cleaning this up actually. This actually went really well for you considering what happened previously. And, leaving some guys behind. There's the blink. Fallen did that kind of poorly. He should have not, like, he got too up close and personal and could have definitely attacked here and stormed some units and just attacked from a distance at the orbital command instead of running in the back, because you lost a lot of units just because of that. Alright, so now he's actually going to have plenty of units still just because he has that third up and he's going Gateway Army. So he's going to be able to replenish quite quickly, just like you should be able to. But since you're low on a base, since he's up on a base, he is going to have the advantage. So you gotta be really careful, try to use your units sparingly, try to attack various locations. So yeah, these are the two times you want to attack various locations. When your opponent's going for a high-tech army, which means it's going to be slow and very costly, but very efficient, so try to ignore his army and kill off stuff. And the other time is when you really need to get back in the game, like right now you're a little bit low. Looks like he's even going for some Archons now. So yeah, right now you want to be maybe doing some drops. Looks like he's cannoned up pretty well. He has a very nice play. It looks like he's just, like, you know, really good. Has some cans back here, has some cans back there. Has a fourth going up right now, so he's actually sitting very nicely. And actually right now you want to be throwing down a command center. Not because he is expanding, but because now is the time to. You have the money for it, you need to build more infrastructure actually at the same time. You got a couple of drops. Good. And okay, your army just came back. Alright, so very nice. Now you are a little bit high on the gas. You know, you could just get more medevacs or whatever. Get like a third, or get one more starport without a reactor, just making medevacs, or something like that. I don't know. And I'd say just get more Marines. Marines are, you know, they're not bad. I think a lot of players say, oh, Marauders are just so good, but Marines are actually pretty good against Zealots and Archons, so, and Immortals. You know, if you don't know, they're really good against Immortals. So just try to do that. So it looks like Protoss just not using Chrono. Now he's using it. You want to use it a little bit more. Use it on your gateways. Use it on your robotics facilities. All right. So now you're gonna deny this base. Very nice. Very nice. Just drop a double drop. You know, that's what I was saying for last game. All right. So now Protoss moving out now. And I feel like this is kind of, you should not be here. Like, it's good to be there, but, you know, as soon as you see his army, you gotta run out of there, so I'm glad you are running back right now. That is the correct thing to do. Yeah, try not to stim. It's kind of one of those things that you kind of have to stim, but then just lose a whole bunch of hit points, so you gotta be really careful with that. Alright, so here's your drop, part 2. Coming in here, you can be dropping. Alright, you can move that guy back, very nice, so he doesn't die to that cannon. This drop is looking pretty successful. You want to get these guys out of this back though, drop out of here. And now you want to lift up, get out of here. Yes, good, nice. No! You know, preferably you want to use the other medevac, obviously, but, you know, just kind of, you're doing things so quickly and things happen. I wish this army was here sooner while you're dropping. You could have been there a little bit sooner and then come here while his army was busy with that medevac. Sticky situation. You got yourself cornered over here. Definitely run out. You know, this is not a good spot to engage, right? You want to split up. Run back here because you're just, all these guys are going to die. That was not very awesome. But at the same time, you have a drop. Going very well. Those Zealots are so good against Marauders. Drop with, like, I'd just say overall get more Marines, which means you can afford more medevacs. So maybe you wanted starport. So I mean, just changing your composition slightly might help you a lot. You know, just have more Marines, which will give you extra gas to get more medevacs and Vikings and things like that. Marauders, of course, pretty high in minerals, a little bit high on gas, or not high on gas, but has a gas cost. So, do 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 do. Protoss on the move, on the move. And now you're on the move as well, coming in from a nice attack thing. Actually, I'd say, well, I don't know, it's kind of tricky because you're going Marines and, or Marauder Medevac again. And, well, now he has a pretty slow army here. I mean, it's not so much that I want to say that this is just slow, it's actually pretty fast. I mean, Protoss generally just moves at the same rate. Stalkers are a little bit faster, Colossus actually move at the same rate as Zealots. Archons move slightly faster, but slower than Stalkers. Immortals, same speed as Zealots and Colossus, so generally speaking, this is rather slow. Marines and Marauders move at the exact same pace without stim. And it's not so much that, oh, he has a slow army, so you gotta do this. It's more or less like, you know, he has a big army that that's strong together. Whereas Marines and Marauders and Medevacs, you kind of want to do like side pushes and stuff like that. You know, Medevacs, of course, going to be good with, I don't know, and they're fast to replenish too. So try not to engage the army, but of course you need to defend right now, and these barracks are going to die if you don't. Protoss being very careful. He wants to go in there, but at the same time he doesn't want to get surrounded. So he's actually moving up here, which is very wise on his part. And now these Zealots, going with the Zealots first. Keep cutting. Ghost was killed somewhere. Eventually some Marines. I don't know, Marines will just help out with those Zealots. You won't be running away so much. Now you're in a corner, trying to get your Planetary Forces to help out. He's not going to fight, he's going to back out a little bit. Very well played here so far from Fallen. And, well, Ghost coming in here. Looks like you do have the +3 attack, +2 armored, which is better than us. Protoss only on +2 attack, which is pretty surprising. He's trying to get up another base here. Again, just have good vision of the map. You know, he has big, slow guys. Try to abuse that. You know, send a Marine or something down here, send one up there. Looks like you do have a Marine up here, so that's good. And Dundee. Now, you know, he's just been picking away at your forces. All game long, and so like, I mean, just slowly, you've been losing so much, and I mean, I don't know, you're not high enough on bases. He has a very strong attack. I mean, from what it looks like, he did pretty much what I was suggesting last game, except he's Protoss and you're Terran. Like, he started with a lot of gateway units, and transitioned into robotics units, which are bigger, slower, you know, more costly type of things. So with that in mind, he has a big, strong army now, was nearing 200 food, whereas you're still on like lower tech Vikings, Marines, Marauders, so you still need to do more drops and whatnot. So I mean, if he was still on gateway units, you'd be fine. You know, and of course with High Templar, you got to be really careful with that because that is somewhat of a high tech unit then too. Actually, it is a high tech unit, I should say. You know, but yeah, Colossus, definitely so. Well, looks like he pushed them back just because he doesn't want to lose these Colossus. And by default, it looks like he's losing a few just by accident. And going to get this also. Alright, sorry about that. Had to close my door. Alright, so now the rest of your army is pretty much kaput and you don't have anything left. You have your SVs that repaired the Planetary Fortress. And, well, they need to go back to mining. Alright, now they're going back to mining. Unit counting tab, looks like you're good on the SVs this time. Probe count's pretty high. If you want to get 80, that's fine. I mean, it's up to you if you want 80 workers or not. But I'd say with Marines and Marauders and Medevacs, definitely go for a little bit higher of a worker count. Whereas for big armies like the Colossus, you want like, I don't know, you want maybe like between 60 and 70. So actually Protoss is very, very good on that. Especially as Terran. Like, as Terran you can just sacrifice some SVs and get mules. But I'd suggest you get as much economy as you can and just get smaller armies. And then those smaller armies can do harasses here and here and here and all that good stuff. And then you can sacrifice more as some of those SVs if you're transitioning into a bigger army, if you want. Keep tabs on your SV counts. So that was canceled, but you have a base over here, so it's all good. Gonna be just fine. You don't really have much left. So I mean, Protoss has just like gotten plenty of bases. You've lost a lot of bases. He's been playing very, very well. I want to point that out. I mean, you're playing well, but he's just like a notch ahead. It's a small mini notch ahead, which puts you behind. So I'm trying to get you up there with these notches. What's going on? It's just like, oh, I don't know what's. Oh, he's getting a Dark Templar up here. Well, let's rewind so we can see that. I just want to look at what's going on here. Because Terran had a base here. What happened to it? Okay, so. Oh, okay, so he had a pylon up here already. He was like, okay, I'm going to send one Marauder. Let's deal with this. And now that Marauder died, because it's a Zealot, and Zealots are good against Marauders. Okay, forced to cancel. And there's a pylon there left, so now there's going to be a Dark Templar warping in here. We're on ×4. Okay, so he sends a couple more Marauders up there. Dark Templar coming in here. And now it's like, you gotta kite that one Dark Templar and he still wins. Because Dark Templar are OP. And so yeah, 55 damage. That's seriously too much, like, seriously too much. Alright, so now there's engagement. And since he has just so many Colossus things, he just can't hold on. There's like the perfect counters to what you have. Which is high-tech awesomeness. And that is a good game. So yeah, Fallen here actually just playing so well. So kudos to Fallen, because that was actually an awesome play here. What was I gonna say? Oh, I was just gonna say Dark Templar. Like, was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday. I had like a bunch of bases. I was playing against a Platinum player on Obs Metalopolis, and like I could tell he was probably around Platinum level with the way he was playing. But then he gets up like 8 Dark Templar, just harass my 3rd base and my 4th base, take them both out. I just made the mistake of not putting up a Spore and a couple of crawlers, So I lost both bases, and I was like, okay, I gotta quickly, get some Overseers up. I get some Overseers up. I send my Zerglings in to defend it while attacking another location. And I was just thinking, okay, my Zerglings are definitely gonna be cleaning up these Dark Templar. Lo and behold, like there was so many Dark Templar, the Zerglings just all died. And then he kept them back well enough that I just, he didn't go for my natural. My natural is well defended against them. So he just sticks back there, try to expand again and again. And he keeps denying them. I keep sending more Zerglings and more Overseers and things to take him out. It just doesn't happen. Like it goes from me having like 80 workers at like 12 or like 11 minutes into the game to me having like no workers. I mean, to me having like, I don't know, like 40 workers and then like no bases, and I'm like almost mined out, and like it's just so annoying. I kept him back too with my other forces. I kept attacking his 3rd. I kept his 3rd off. But since the Dark Templar are such a high tech unit, I was sacrificing a lot of Zerglings. That's a lot of money to kill those Dark Templar and to attack his expansion. So it actually did not work out for me because of that. So just a funny little story there. But anyways, that's going to wrap this up for tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed episode number 6. And tell your friends about this. I need more replays. I'm actually getting low on replays here. Like the show could potentially die because I don't have enough replays. So please send them in. And I want to do as much as I can for the community. So, I need you guys to help me out with that just by sending in replays, so that I can analyze it and give you guys the good stuff. So anyways, this is Magic signing out. So if you guys have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them in the chats after the show. And yeah, adios.